Carnegie Hall and all the amazing things I've been able to do. And I love acting and I love producing, and I'm moving more in that direction. And my show Call Me Kat just got picked up for a third season. So super excited to continue doing that. But I had been missing singing live, and I had been missing the live performance aspect. Even on Call Me Kat, normally we would get a live audience, but because of COVID, it's just been us on a soundstage. And so this really scratched that itch for me, but also just reignited my love of live performance and that give and take with the audience. Something interesting happened though. When you asked me about something I've learned, it was I learned what it's like. It's something I wasn't anticipating. When, I knew that it would feel kind of freeing to be in the mask, right? Because no one can see you, but it also was very isolating. And another friend, who I won't say who it was, but went on the show and didn't have the best time. It was a little too isolating for them. And, you really are in your own head, truly. And they don't call you by your name. They only call you by your character name. And so you have to navigate your own thoughts, your own fears, your own anxieties. And in between takes and in between setups, that takes hours and hours to shoot these sequences. And we'd be standing just on the stage, and I can see the audience, but they can't see my face. But I can see through my little mouth or my little whatever I'm looking at, and I can hear them talking. I can hear them like talking about your performance, going like, well, look at his legs. And I don't know, I think that's so and so. And you really feel very exposed and very vulnerable. And you realize, like, as an audience member, we can see you and we can hear what you're saying. And I felt vulnerable, I guess. It was the only way to describe it. It was an interesting dynamic that I hadn't anticipated.
I never really thought of that because I mean I know you're in the costume and they all present challenges. But the standing there right for hours, I could see that
Ah,
being isolating.
yeah, for sure. And you have to just have the strength within yourself to know, like, this is what's happening right now. And you can get a little claustrophobic. You certainly get incredibly hot. I mean, just drenched your clothes, and they're always like fanning you and giving you water. But yeah, it's really a challenging thing. And I had heard that the physical part of it was to not underestimate that. So ahead of time, I bought a really big, heavy motorcycle helmet and put it on in the garage and walked on my treadmill on a big incline and sang, and just really tried to strengthen my neck muscles. Because when you're singing, this all needs to be relaxed. But when you're tensing and you're trying to hold a big frog head, you can't have the same vibration as normal. So I tried to do everything I could to prep myself, but like nothing can prepare you for when the customer comes in with like 3-toe gloves and and feet, that I was like, how can I grab a mic? And then they put like little sticky things on my hands so I could at least grip. But I ripped my toes. I stepped on my own frog toes and ripped them off maybe 6 times. And the costumer, I know, he was wanting to murder me. He was just like, can you not wear your feet today? And I was like, I'm sorry. It's the Broadway in me, but you got to wear the shoes. You have to be in your feet. And I'm going to be walking on a table with food, and I'm singing in Spanish, and there's dancers and there's balloons and confetti. And so I always considered it a good sign if I finish a performance and look down and all of my toes were still on.
How long did you do this helmet with a treadmill on incline? Like, was that like a week? Like, how long did you? I mean, that doesn't seem easy either.
No, my neck was so sore. It was crazy. You don't think about that kind of gesticulation and strength needed. A couple of weeks. I was doing this all at the same time. I was doing Call Me Kat. So I would shoot Call Me Kat all day, and only a couple of producers and Mayim were allowed to know. So it was a wild schedule and time. And then Leslie Jordan, who I work with on Call Me Kat, was also a guest judge this year on Masked Singer. I think they purposely and smartly didn't put us in the same group, but he came to set and he was so excited about doing it. And he was like, you guys, I just did Masked Singer, and Cheyenne, you should do that show. You'd be so good. And I was like, "Oh, I'm on it right now." I wanted to tell him, but I had to keep the secret. And I told him day before yesterday, before it aired, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you." And so that's the fun part. Again, what we talked about at the beginning, just the secret aspect. It's fun to be a part of something that's, can't talk.
At what part did you mention, like, your competitiveness like kicked in? Like, when did that happen? Like, you see like a Jennifer Holliday go home. I mean, talk about Broadway. You see like En Vogue, you knew it was them, but they go home. Like, I mean, at what point are you like, wow, I'm still here?
Yeah. I can't remember what episode it was because they kind of do them, they air them I don't remember, but there was when we had that group number and we sang Katy Perry's Roar, and that was the first time all of us were I think it was down to 4 in our group. And oh, Shaggy was the space bunny. And he has such a cool, gruff timbre to his voice. And then of course the En Vogue ladies. And I was like, this is cool. I'm in this group and we'll see what happens. But after I made it through that and I was in the top 3 or 2 of that group, I was like, oh, okay. I'm in for this. I can't, that's probably when it like kicked in harder. And so I rehearsed harder and tried to be, just kick it up, as it were.
Well, you've done so much Broadway, like Damn Yankees and All Shook Up and Xanadu. Like, do you have a favorite Broadway and much more? Do you have, is that like asking you to choose amongst your children? Like, do you have a favorite Broadway show you've been in?
I mean, a little bit, but I definitely have my favorites. I mean, my Broadway debut was Thoroughly Modern Millie, and I had only been in town for less than 2 months. And I got the show within a few weeks, but I was on the Broadway stage in the show, understudying one of the leads, both leads, Gavin Creel and Mark Kudish. Both were nominated for Tonys for it. And I was so new in town. My family wasn't there yet. I didn't even have headshots when I got the job. I'd taken them, but I had only the composite, this back in the day. So that show is definitely super special. I just remember my entrance as I'm doing it with Sutton Foster, who had just won the Tony, and I just watched that, and it was like, now I'm about to like do a scene where I kiss her. It was just crazy. I remember I had my feet up on the desk and I was playing the boss and I was getting into character, and the whole thing was a turntable, and I just kind of rose out of my body for a second, and I just thought, you're on Broadway. You're about to make your Broadway debut. This thing's going to turn around. You're going to say your line. They're going to laugh, hopefully. And I just had this moment of peace and happiness and just being proud of that little outsider kid from Idaho that dreamt of that. And now it was actually happening. And then I was back in my body and I did the thing. So yeah, I mean, Thoroughly Modern Millie has a huge place in my heart. All Shook Up, the Elvis show, where that was my first big break, where I was carrying a Broadway show, and there was a billboard of my face in Times Square, and I got to meet Lisa Marie and Priscilla and seeing all that great music. But probably Xanadu, just because it was the combination of several years of really hard work, making my way and finding something that was a perfect fit of vocal stuff that I love to do, and also really weird comedy stuff. And I've always kind of been like, I look a certain way, so you think I'm just like the guy that says, come on everybody, let's go town square and I have something to tell you. And but I always like to be a little left of center with my comedy, and that's the stuff I love. So Xanadu, I think, was the perfect one, the perfect storm for me.
I mean, who doesn't love Xanadu? I mean, like
Crazy people.
literally crazy people. What were Lisa Marie and Priscilla like?
Oh, so nice. So nice. I remember Lisa Marie Priscilla was very kind. She gave me a guitar from the Elvis estate. And that was so lovely and incredible. And Lisa Marie was cool, but not super, like, I am very huggy, and I remember she was like very kind, but I just remember that's the first impression I had of her, was like, don't hug her until she gives you the green light. But it was iconic. It was just amazing. I mean, that time in my life was just so many new things, so many firsts. And